what's your opinion on Putin, on the way he threatened? So in that situation, say it's 2013, and Yankovic is sitting there, and he's kind of like, I'm not saying his name correctly. Yanukovych is sitting there, and he's saying, hey, listen, I'd love to do this and join you, but if I do, our number one guy that's doing business with us, we're going to lose 70%. In that moment, when Putin was bullying Yanukovych, what was your opinion about Putin in that moment?
Well, my opinion of Putin's always been the same, going before that moment, after that moment. He's a thug. What you're seeing today in Ukraine was what those who were paying attention to Ukraine 20 years ago saw.
You saw the writing on the wall with Putin
100%.
20 years ago. That you like? Did you? Are you saying that you kind of predicted what's happening today?
What I'm saying, yes. I mean, can I predict that the rubble that's happened? No, I would never have thought that Putin would have leveled the country. But was I aware? Was anybody aware of Putin's desire for Ukraine? Yes. Putin always felt, and again, we in the West, things are right out there, and that we don't pay attention to because we don't want them to be true. But Putin has always said he thought Ukraine should never have been given its independence by Khrushchev and Khrushchev. I mean, the story on Ukraine's independence, it was part of the Soviet Union, but it was an integral part of Greater Russia. Khrushchev, when he was the general secretary in the 50s, was from Ukraine. He was Ukrainian. And so as a gift on their Independence Day, he gave them their independence. Never thinking that the Soviet Union was going to collapse, never thinking that it was a distinction without a difference. And Putin was totally against that. I mean, he wasn't involved back then, but he thought that was one of the two biggest mistakes in the history of the Soviet Union. The other being Gorbachev's working with Reagan and Bush to break up the Soviet Union. So he has always been an historical. Ukraine is part of Russia, not Ukraine is an independent country with Russian heritage.
Have you ever met Putin?
No,
never.
No. And so what Putin was doing with putting the squeeze on was because he finally realized Yanukovych was serious. Even though, mind you, changing the legal structure, changing the economic structure, changing the regulatory structure, it's a massive amount of work. And Ukraine went through that for the first 3 years of Yanukovych's presidency with great detail, working with the European Union. They call it the Committee on Enlargement, which is the body from the EC that deals with potential new countries. And I personally was working with Stefan Rupfillet, who was the commissioner of the Commission for Enlargement. And we worked through thousands of issues, all towards the end of getting the trade agreement signed, and then getting the political, it's called the association agreement signed. That was the key work during Yanukovych's time. Where things went badly for Yanukovych with the West was about a year and a half in, when he had his opponent, former Prime Minister Tymoshenko, arrested. And he had her arrested for corruption. Corruption which her president, when she was Prime Minister, Viktor Yushchenko was president, Viktor Yushchenko accused Tymoshenko of the same corruption. But it was part of his base, so he couldn't go after her. Later in life he did. He was very public about how she committed crimes in dealing with Ukrainian interest on Russian gas coming to the country. But when Yanukovych had her arrested, the West went crazy because she was the darling of Albright, the darling of Clinton, even though she was a corrupt prime minister. It was, if you were...
For people that don't know, she would be the modern AOC. Would you put her like that? How would you say her personality, how she was?
Well, I know I wouldn't call her AOC. I mean, she was a typical Soviet politician, but she was good looking. She understood how to work the media.
Tyler Pillera.
And she sold herself to Merkel and Albright and Clinton as the hope of the West. The reality was she was the Putin candidate again in 2010. Yanukovych wasn't. Again, one of the major misnomers, they didn't want Yanukovych. And the reason they wanted her is because the corruption that she committed, that she was arrested for, was when she went to Russia to negotiate the agreement between Russia and Ukraine for the gas pipeline. What happens until the Nord Stream pipeline with Germany? All of the Russian gas to Europe came through a pipeline through Ukraine. It was very important to Ukraine's economic lifeblood. And
this is her.
Yep, it's her before she changed her hairstyle.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.